Good morning, everybody. I'd like to introduce myself. I know I've met a lot of you, but a lot of you I've not met personally. I've just exchanged emails, or maybe not even that. So I'm Robin Porter, the HR director here. And on behalf of our entire HR team and the college, I'd like to welcome you to the meetings this morning. As I mentioned, there will be an opportunity for you to speak to the various carriers and vendors after this meeting and also this afternoon. So if you have anything that's personal you'd like to ask, you can do it at that time. There will be a Q&A session after this presentation for more general questions as well. And we hope that you'll find this very helpful this morning. And so I'd like to, at this time, present Shelley from Silverstone. Silverstone is essentially our partner in presenting our benefits to you. You may have seen some of their branding on items. You may have even gotten emails from them in the past. And they're kind of the people that pull all this stuff together for us. And so Shelley will be presenting this morning and also introducing the other speakers. So thank you.
Good morning. I'm glad to see such a large crowd here today. Benefits aren't always the most understood things, so I'm here today with a lot of partners. All your vendors are here, so I'm going to introduce them. They don't have to stand, but they will be coming up to speak to you on each of those products. So we have Teresa Newton from Wellmark. We have Todd Mitchell from Delta Dental. We have Sam Reimer from Lincoln Financial Group. We have Katie Schmidt from Task. We have Liz Salkin from Silverstone Group, AKA Allstate. We have Glenda Teeter from VSP. VSP is a new option for you. It's a vision plan. So we're excited to offer that to the college, and Glenda will be talking about the vision benefits. And then myself, Shelley Hulsing from Silverstone. So welcome to open enrollment. This is your annual time of year that you can make changes to your benefits if you wish. You might leave them the same. This is a time to add or drop dependents. Any of those changes that you make during open enrollment will become effective on January 1st, 2020. This year, open enrollment elections will be made via an online portal called HR Connection. An email did go out this morning that some of you may have seen, but we will cover the details at the end of the presentation, and then the information about HR Connection will also be posted on the ROC website. Just a reminder that everyone will need to go into HR Connection this year to make their enrollment elections, even if you are waiving coverage. And you want to make sure that you have all the information available for your dependents when you go to enroll, such as dates of birth, social security numbers, and those sort of things. Because if you don't have that available, it won't let you proceed once you're going through the enrollment. Elections made during annual open enrollment are generally binding for the entire plan year unless you have what's called a qualifying event or a qualified change in status. What that means is you enroll for your benefits, and maybe in June you get married, so you want to add your spouse to your health plan. Or maybe in May you have a baby and you want to add that baby to your health plan. Those events would allow you to make changes, but you only have 31 days to make those changes. So in the event you would have a life event like that, maybe a spouse loses coverage at their employment, you want to be sure to let Human Resources know within that time period. Otherwise, you would have to wait until next open enrollment. So let's jump right in and talk about your medical plan options through Wellmark. You still have 2 plan options. There are no plan design changes to the PPO plan. There was a slight change made to the deductible on the high deductible health plan. And the reason for that is that later on this year, the IRS released regulations that outlined what the minimum deductible must be in order to be a qualified high deductible health plan. So that is the reason that the high deductible health plan effective January 1st, 2020 will be $2,800 in network for single and $5,600 for family, and then the out of network would be double that. And then of course your out of pocket is the same. So that is the only change to the health plans this year. So let's talk a little bit about both plans. With the traditional PPO plan, you have co-payments for your office and specialist, you have co-payments for your prescription drugs, and then you also have that deductible to meet. So you have a $1,000 individual deductible and a $2,000 family deductible. Once that deductible is met, except for the services that have a copay, you still just pay the copay, that copayment accumulates to your out-of-pocket maximum, as well as any deductible that you satisfy also accumulates towards that out-of-pocket maximum. For services that require a deductible, for example, hospital services, that $1,000 individual deductible would apply, and then you would share co-insurance with Wellmark. So Wellmark would pay 80%, you would pay 20%. Once you reach that out-of-pocket maximum for an individual of $2,000, then Wellmark is going to pay 100% for eligible expenses, medical and prescription drugs, for the rest of the plan year. So sometimes it's good to talk about deductibles, co-insurance, out-of-pocket, co-pays, because sometimes we all get confused on what those exactly mean, right? So on the high deductible health plan, you have a $2,800 single and $5,600 family deductible, and I'm just speaking to in-network services. And Teresa will give us some great information on how to find a Wellmark in-network provider. So on the high deductible health plan, once you reach that $2,800 deductible or $5,600 family, you have no additional co-insurance or out-of-pocket to meet. Services are payable at 100% for the rest of the plan year. However, IRS regulations state with a high deductible health plan, all services must apply to the deductible, including prescription drugs. So that's a big difference between the two plans. Also, your preventive care on either plan, as long as you're seeing an in-network provider with Wellmark, those preventive services are payable at 100%. Well, what are preventive services? Those would be your annual physicals, mammographies, colonoscopies, your well child visits, immunizations, and those sort of things. So be sure that all of you are getting those preventive services, because if you can catch things up front, then that can prevent high dollar or catastrophic claims in the future. For example, standing here, I wouldn't know if I have high blood pressure without having that checked by a doctor. I would not know if I had high cholesterol unless I'm having that blood draw done. Same with BMI or blood sugar. I would not know if I may be a pre-diabetic. So it's very, very important to catch those things up front so they can be treated before they turn into a catastrophic event. So let's talk about the medical plan cost. This is a comparison between the PPO plan and the high deductible plan. These are the premiums that you pay each semi-monthly through your paycheck for each plan. So there were no changes to the premiums this year, but I just wanted to share this with you. And then note that anyone that enrolls in the high deductible health plan, the college makes a very generous contribution to your health savings account, $1,250 if you have single coverage, and $2,500 if you have family coverage. So with the traditional PPO plan, your monthly premium is $33.12, semi-monthly $16.56, and for family, $318.70 monthly or $159.35 semi-monthly. The high deductible health plan, if you cover just yourself, you're not going to pay any premium at all, which is really phenomenal. For family, you have $179.56 for family or $89.78 semi-monthly for family. So let's look at an annual cost comparison between the two plans. So with the PPO plan, on an annual basis for employee-only coverage, you're going to pay $397.44 for employee only, or $3,824.40 for family. Now this is the premium you pay out of your paycheck. For the high deductible plan, the annual cost is $0 if you cover just yourself, or $2,154.72 if you cover family. So between the PPO and the high deductible health plan on an annual basis, that premium dollar savings is $1,669.68. So it's really important to look at these two plan options, maybe look at your own personal health situation. If you're pretty healthy and you maybe go to the doctor for a cold or flu a couple times a year, this premium savings could really outweigh the benefit of which plan that you enroll in. So with the high deductible health plan that can be paired with a health savings account, again, the college will contribute $1,250 for employee-only coverage or $2,500 for family coverage. So if you take that premium differential and the and the HSA contribution for family, you could have a $4,169.68 savings, considering the premium savings and the HSA contribution that you're getting from Iowa Western. So I like to kind of explain that if you put that $1,669, if you're family, into a health savings account, you preserve that money that you can use in the future. Whereas if you're on the PPO plan, at the end of the year, that premium goes away. You don't get to keep any of that money. So this is kind of just what this slide is supposed to demonstrate. So let's talk about what is a health savings account. So a health savings account can be paired with a high deductible health plan, and it's similar to a personal bank account. I like to refer to it as a checking account for healthcare or a 401k for healthcare, because that's kind of how it works. You can put pre-tax dollars into an HSA or make post-tax contributions and then take that deduction when you file your taxes at the end of the year. It works similar to a checking account. So funds have to be in the account in order to spend funds out of the account. And you use an HSA to pay for those expenses that Wellmark's going to apply to your deductible, such as medical, prescription drug. You can also use your HSA for dental and vision expenses now or in the future. With an HSA, you own the account, even if you would leave employment. So any funds that the college is putting into the health savings account, any money you are putting into the health savings account, that follows you even if you would leave employment, because that bank account you own and that is yours. The balance in a health savings account does roll over from year to year, so there are no use it or lose it rules like there are with a flexible spending account. And Katie's going to talk about those differences. Katie's here from Task, so she's going to talk about a flexible spending account, dependent care, and your health savings account. So let's talk about HSA eligibility rules. These are rules that are set by the IRS. First of all, you must be enrolled in a qualified high deductible health plan in order to contribute to an HSA. You cannot have any other non-high deductible health plan coverage. So let's talk about that for a minute, because that's a little confusing. So let's say I work at the college, I'm enrolled in the high deductible health plan, but my husband has me covered as a dependent through his employer's plan, and his employer's plan is not a high deductible health plan. It's a PPO plan. So in that event, I would not be eligible to open and contribute to an HSA. On the other hand, I cover myself here at the college and my husband covers himself and our children, but does not cover me, then I can contribute to an HSA. You cannot be enrolled in Medicare or TRICARE. Again, I like to explain health savings accounts like it's all about me. It's what coverage do I have. It doesn't matter what coverage my husband or my children have, except for an FSA. You cannot be claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return. And then finally, you cannot participate in a traditional medical flexible spending account, including a spouse's FSA. So if your spouse has an FSA and it's on a calendar year, and you're thinking about enrolling in the high deductible health plan and opening an HSA, you want to make sure that that FSA has a zero balance at the end of December. Okay, otherwise you'd be disqualified from the HSA. So each year, the IRS sets contribution limits as far as how much you can contribute to an HSA. For 2020, for single coverage, it's $3,550 or $7,100 for a family. These annual limits include the employee and any contributions made by the employer. So in this chart, we're taking the $3,550 minus the $1,250 that the college is giving you, which leaves $2,300 that you could put into an HSA and reap those tax savings and have that money in an account for future health care. For families, $7,100 less the $2,500 from the college leaves a maximum of $4,600 that you could put in your HSA for family coverage. Anyone 55 or over, the IRS does allow an additional $1,000 catch-up contribution. So if you're 55 or over, those limits change to $4,550 or $8,100, and then less the employer, you'd have that additional $1,000. So how do I use an HSA, and how does that work with my high deductible health plan? So you fund that health savings account. The college will fund that account, and then you will fund that account through payroll deductions if you wish. And then you use those funds for health care expenses that apply to your deductible. You can use it for vision and dental expenses. Your HSA contributions do not count towards your annual taxable income for federal taxes, so it's a tax savings. Once you reach a certain level in your HSA, maybe in future years, you can also invest those funds as well. And any interest you earn on those funds is also tax-free. You will receive a task debit card that you can use to pay for eligible expenses. So for example, I go to the doctor, I get my bill from the doctor after Wellmark processes that claim. I can then put that debit card information on the bill and send it in, and that will come out of my HSA. There's also other options available that Katie will talk about, online transfers and those sort of things that you can use through the task website. You'll receive that debit card to use for those eligible expenses. HSA distributions. Eligible health care expenses must be used for expenses that are incurred on or after the date the HSA was established. So if you're opening up your health savings account on January 1st, 2020, and you had an expense that went towards your deductible in November of 2019, that is not an eligible HSA expense. Must be an expense that was incurred on 1/1/2020 and going forward. If you would use your HSA for a non-qualified expense, and you were audited by the IRS, you would be subject to income tax on that amount plus a 20% penalty. Once you reach 65 and you would use your HSA for a non-eligible expense, you are no longer subject to the 20% penalty, but you are subject to any income taxes. So record keeping with my HSA. Whenever you use your HSA to pay for a medical, dental, vision expense or any other qualifying expense, you should keep your receipts with your annual tax information. So a receipt would be maybe an explanation of benefits from Wellmark, showing that $150 went to my deductible, so I took $150 out of my HSA to pay for that provider. Keep that EOB in your annual tax information. So with a flexible spending account, sometimes if any of you are participating in an FSA, task may come to you and say, you used your debit card, we need a receipt from you to substantiate that request, right? That's not going to happen with a health savings account. The health savings account is owned by you, controlled by you, and no one is going to ask you for a receipt. But again, in the event you're ever audited on your taxes, you're going to want to have proof that you spent money out of your HSA for qualified expenses, or then if you cannot provide that substantiation, then that's when the tax consequences would come into place. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Katie with task.
Thank you. Hi, Hi, my name is Katie Schmidt, and as Shelley mentioned, I work with Task, and so we are the administrators of 3 different benefit accounts that your employer, Iowa Western, has put in place as part of your benefits package, really designed to allow you to take advantage of as many tax savings opportunities as possible. I talked to a lot of people out in the hall, and I know that many of you have participated in these for years and are very comfortable and confident with how they run. So I don't want to be too repetitive, but I also know that I spoke with some people who are maybe switching plans, going from the traditional plan to the high deductible plan, vice versa, or whom have not participated in these before. So I do want to make sure that I go over everything and that people know what to expect. So the HSA, Shelley did an awesome job of explaining that, and so I will just talk a little bit. These are the eligible expenses, and I have a list out at the table that goes over those, so I recommend whether you are new to the HSA or whether you've been doing it for a while, if you want to pick up one of these just to kind of make sure that you know those eligible expenses for the health savings account. How to access your HSA. With the HSA, it's a money in, money out. So based on your payroll schedule, based on those contributions from the employer, whatever you elect to also have taken out of your paycheck pre-tax, whatever is available in your account at that time is what is available for you to spend. Keep in mind, though, that these funds do roll over from year to year, so it's pretty possible that after a few years or several years of contributions, you have quite a large balance on that. Keep in mind, this is called a savings account. When we start talking about flex, that's a spending account. So really the purpose of an HSA is to establish those savings, still to use it for your medical expenses, but also to use it as a savings vehicle for future medical expenses. So you can use the funds to pay for qualifying out-of-pocket expenses. Those are on here. You can also, that money is yours. As Shelley explained, it's like a personal checking account. And so if you go to the pharmacy and you pay for a prescription and you don't have your Task card on you and you pay out of your pocket $100, you can use the Task debit card as an ATM card and you can reimburse yourself those funds. It is important to save your receipts in the event that you're ever audited, but that money is yours as long as you're using it for qualified medical expenses. An HSA, it's really a very unique and exciting medical savings vehicle. So I'm not going to read these to you, and Shelley already went through many of them, but there are many tax benefits. The contribution amounts continue to go up year after year. They have been with Flex as well, but the IRS seems even a little bit more willing to increase those HSA contribution limits. The no risk of forfeiture is probably one of the most compelling pieces to the HSA. You own that money, and you're lucky enough to have an employer who sees the value in the HSA and is making contributions as well, and so that is very beneficial to you. The ownership and portability, this is like a personal checking account. And so, again, those funds are yours to use as you wish. The IRS requires them to be used on medical expenses. But like she said, Task is not going to come asking for substantiation, asking for verification. Those funds are yours, and the expectation is that you use those for qualified expenses. The other thing, the account stays active if you're no longer covered by a high deductible health plan. So if you move from a high deductible health plan to a traditional plan, you're no longer eligible to contribute to the HSA, but those funds are yours and you're still able to spend them for as long as you have a balance. So once you have those funds, they're yours, you can continue to spend them. It's just the contributions that the IRS gets involved in based on what medical plan that you participate in. Another benefit of the HSA is the investment opportunity. So with Task, we require a $2,000 minimum balance in your HSA in order to participate in any investment accounts. Actually, technically, it'd be a $2,100 balance because our investments occur in $100 increments. So once you got to $2,100, you would have that $100. You have to maintain $2,000 in the health savings account, and then anything above that you can choose to invest. And you can kind of read through this. We have different threshold amounts. It is FDIC insured. We have a whole slew of mutual funds that are available. no fees for trade. And if this is something you're interested in, investments, I'm on the medical benefit side. Investments are not my area of expertise, but I can provide you with a list of all the different types of investment opportunities that there are for you to share with your financial advisor or whomever helps you make those financial decisions. So this is pretty exciting too once your balance gets to a certain threshold. Okay, so that's HSA. Now we're moving into the flexible spending account. And really that's the key word to think of here is spending. You're going to be spending this money. This pairs with the traditional plan, the copay plan. And this is not available if you participate in the high deductible plan. Currently, the IRS has not released an update for 2020. We do project that maximum is going to go up another $50 as it has in the past, but we can't say that for sure until the IRS confirms it. So right now we have to say $2,700 is the maximum election for a calendar year. Again, it's pre-tax dollars. So based on whatever income tax bracket you are in, you can anticipate how much money you're going to save by being able to use these funds and not pay taxes on them. For the spending account, probably what's most important is to give yourself the most accurate estimation of how much you're going to spend in a calendar year on qualified medical, dental, vision, prescription expenses. I know that not all medical expenses are predictable. However, there are some that you can. For instance, if you know you have a scheduled surgery in 2020, or you're pregnant, or a spouse is pregnant, or you take pretty regular prescription medications, or you see a chiropractor or a physical therapist. Teresa, I'm not sure if she's going to talk about the Wellmark Cost Care Finder and Estimator, but that's a really useful tool if you do know you have a surgery coming up, or if you do have some medical events that you're able to anticipate. You can use Wellmark's website to help you get an idea of what the cost of those services will be. So that's my greatest advice, is to kind of sit down and pencil out what you think your year is going to look like. Because with these funds, with the exception of a $500 carryover, these are use it or lose it. And so if you elect to have $2,700 taken out of your check and you only use 1,000 of it, you can carry over 500, but anything else at the end of the year will be forfeited back. And so that best estimation of how much you're going to spend is really important. Again, this can be used for yourself, your spouse, eligible dependents. Nice thing about Flex that's unique, and it's not the same as the health savings account, 100% of your balance is available on day one. And so if you sign up and you elect the maximum $2,700, on January 1st, you will have $2,700 available to you. And so that's very convenient if you know you're going to have some sort of planned medical event early in the year. You don't have to wait until your payroll deductions or your employer contributions catches up with that. We pre-fund the account so that you have it available to you on day one. And I think that's it for that one. Eligible expenses, again, I have a list. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I do have a list out at the table that I would recommend that you pick up so that you can take a look and see what is eligible, what is ineligible. This is an overview. The list is really quite lengthy, so if you're curious about that, I have some information for you. In terms of substantiation for Flex, it is required that you keep all of your receipts. Task at some point may ask for verification of receipts. There are several different ways to submit those. You can do an online request where you upload your receipt. You can take a picture of it and upload it. You can, if you use your card, that's our recommended way of using both the health savings account and the flex spending account, is to use the debit card. That is the most reliable way of auto-substantiation. However, you still should keep your receipts for that. The most convenient one is probably the mobile app request. You can just take a picture of your receipt and submit it on the app. And so that's very convenient if you're a smartphone user. Dependent care account, this has no impact on whether on what health plan you participate in. So you can participate in dependent care flex whether you're on the high deductible plan or the traditional plan. If you pay any type of daycare expenses, or if you pay any type of dependent adult care expenses, highly recommend that you consider signing up for the dependent care account. This is a tax savings vehicle that allows you to set aside up to $5,000 per year pre-tax for dependent care expenses. Daycare, I have 2 in daycare right now, and I think I spend $5,000 in about 2 months. So, but the IRS doesn't seem to want to increase that. However, I can figure out that it probably saves me about $1,000 a year in pre-tax savings. And so that's very useful for anyone who has a family. This is money in, money out. So this one as well, as much as you contribute per payroll deduction, that's what you have available to you. If anyone does dependent care, I recommend, we have a form called the Dependent Care Contract, which to me is the easiest and best way of getting dependent care reimbursement. You literally submit one form at the beginning of the year that tells TASC how much you're going to spend over the course of the year in dependent care, and then we kind of automatically have it set up to reimburse you for those funds throughout the year. So if anyone participates in dependent care and you want to let me know either after this or this afternoon, I'd be happy to talk to you more about that. Eligible expenses. And again, elder care is one of the things we don't often think about with dependent care, but if you do have any dependent adults who are under your care, these funds can be used for that as well. How to access funds, we've already talked about this. FSA, dependent care, our money in, or excuse me, FSA is available on day one. And so you have that full amount available to you at the very beginning. You can see the example down there. Dependent care and HSA, money in, money out. So the only thing you have available to you is what you've contributed. I have some handouts in the back, again, about how to check your balance and how to be notified of what your available balance is, and so those can be convenient as well. Funds cannot cross over between account types, so you can't use your flex spending money for dependent care expenses and vice versa. So each one of these are a specific account that have specific expenses tied to them. Accessing funds, the TASC card is the easiest, simplest, most convenient way to use that. The TASC card is accepted anywhere that MasterCard is accepted, and highly recommend that you keep this with you and that you use it both for your HSA, your FSA. Dependent care gets a little bit difficult because oftentimes those funds aren't available in the same amount that your daycare is owed. That's why I mentioned the dependent care contract. We do have a MyCash account, which I am not going to explain in detail. I have some information out there and I can talk to you a little bit more about that. But basically what MyCash is it's an account where if you don't have your TASC debit card and so you pay for something out of pocket, you can upload those receipts and then we will reimburse you in a special account that's held on your TASC debit card. It's the fastest reimbursement in the industry. It's faster than direct deposit. And then those funds are available for you to use at your discretion for anything, anywhere that MasterCard is accepted. So it is very convenient and very quick method of reimbursement. This is our information about customer care. If you have questions, you can fill out a service request online. If you have a question that you want to talk about over the phone, our 800 number is on there. It is important, it is most convenient if you have your TASC ID available. That kind of initiates our system to route you through to the proper representative who can be most helpful to you. But again, I have some resources out there that can help with some different pieces of technology that can help you access information about your account balance and different reimbursement substantiation requests that are required. Okay, I will be around at the end for any questions, or again, I'll be out here all day. Thank you.
Come on here. Oh. Let me see here. Oh. Did I go backwards? Hi. I'm Teresa Newton with Wellmark, and I am going to talk about Wellmark.com and the additional resources you have just by being a member at Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. So as you can see, this is our landing page. It's one place that houses all your historical and detailed claim information, provides prescription drug information, and provider information. Something new that is just very actually recently new is that in the past we always said you needed your Wellmark ID card to register. Now you don't need that. So right now, if you wanted to go register for Wellmark.com, you don't have your ID card, you just put in your social security number and your date of birth, and you'll be able to get registered. It's really a big improvement because a lot of people were saying, well, I don't have my ID card with me, I don't want to, top of mind. You don't need it anymore. Go to Wellmark.com, use your social security number and date of birth. A reminder, anybody over 18 has to get detailed information, will have to sign in, so your dependent children or your spouse will have to register themselves to get the detailed information. That's just due to HIPAA. So here is the new Wellmark.com. It just was launched this year, the new and improved look here. On here, you can sign up for electronic EOBs, order an ID card, find a provider, check to see if a drug is covered, and review alternatives, shop and compare RX costs, view your accumulations met so far this year, view your coverage just in general and your limits, and ask a claim about a question. So, it's really a one-stop shop for all your health insurance questions. One feature that I really want to highlight, and Katie mentioned it as well, and that's the Care Finder. So while you're logged into Wellmark.com, reminder, this is very tailored to your benefits. So it knows your plan. You're obviously logged in at Wellmark.com, and you've just been told you have to get an MRI. And again, for if you have a flex account, if you're planning, or if on a high deductible health plan is really where also a good way to, this is a good tool to use for that. But if you need an MRI. So you'll go out here, you put in an MRI, it's gonna tell you all the providers that can provide an MRI, and it's gonna tell you the cost. And you'd be very shocked to know that the difference place of service, whether it's at the hospital or if it's in a doctor's office, and just between doctors in general or just between hospitals in general, the cost. And since, with a high deductible health plan, that's your dollars right there. If you can save a couple $100s just by using this tool. And again, just because your doctor referred you to a specific place doesn't always necessarily mean you have to go to that specific place. You can reach back out to your doctor and say, hey, I saw that this is going to be a little cheaper if I go to this provider. Can I get my MRI done there? And oftentimes they'll let you do that. Another feature, of course, is our mobile app. So what you can do on this is everything that's available via your computer, you can do on this mobile app. The thing I see the people use it the most for is those ID cards. Your spouse or your adult children don't seem to ever be able to keep those ID cards handy or close by. Download the app for everybody, and it'll be at your fingertips. You can't go wrong. Yeah, like I said, the ID card, you can get your claims information, benefits, your Wellmark ID, you can find a doctor, you have access to Be Well 24/7. Once you sign up for Wellmark.com, and actually you can just do it via the mobile app. So everybody could leave right now, download the app, register for Wellmark.com. A feature that you have just by being a member of Blue Cross Blue Shield is Blue 365. And I always kind of compare this to being a AAA member. So say, everybody's always like, well, are you a AAA member? You could get an additional discount at a hotel or car repairs or something. This is very similar. Blue 365 is just a service that Blue Cross Blue Shield, the association, offers all of our members. And you can get discounts on health fitness gyms. You get heart rate monitors, LASIK eye surgery, hearing aids. There's weekly specials. Right now I just went out there and there's 20% off at Garmin. There's the Profile by Sanford, which is of the weight loss program. There's a discount on that. There's Sprint. This is a good opportunity just to save a couple dollars just by being a Wellmark member. It's just a good resource. People probably don't look into it very often, but I would recommend checking it out once a month just to see what's out there. Another service you have just by being a Blue Cross Blue Shield member is Be Well 24/7. And I think most people think, oh, that's just a nurse line. We hardly ever use that, but it's a lot more than that. I like to think of it as just it's a good resource for any health-related or health insurance questions, not even just so much health insurance, but health-related questions. I always use the example of, say you're recently diagnosed with diabetes, and you are kind of like, oh gosh, now what's going to happen? Your doctor kind of high level, said come back in 2 more weeks. But you get home and you're like, I have 30 questions now that I want to ask that I didn't even think about while I was there, and now you're calling your doctor back. He's going to have to take another day to call you back. Instead of going out and Googling it, I would recommend using this resource, going out there or reaching out. You'll get a registered nurse. She'll be able to talk you through any questions you may have. That just kind of gives you a little bit of peace of mind in the interim. They can locate providers for you. They can help coordinate appointments. Say you have an elder parent that you need, you're like, well, how do I get them here to here? Or they need a reference to this, or a referral to this provider. Can you help me find one? They'll be able to help you with that. They can discuss the treatment options and answer your health and wellness questions. And they can arrange and support transportation, medical appointments, meals, and things like that for anyone in your family. So it's just not, they don't have to necessarily be on your health plan, but they can help you with that. So, kind of getting ready to wrap up here. How can you help keep your premiums low? Many people think I can't control the cost, I just go to the doctor when I'm sick, but you can. And you can do this by staying in network, asking for generic drugs when possible, getting your yearly physical, diet and exercise, using the ER wisely. In addition, I know I spoke earlier about the Care Finder for medical treatments. We also have one for pharmacy as well. So if you're on a drug and you're like, wow, is there any alternatives? You can go to that through wellmark.com in the prescription section, and you can get lower cost alternatives for your drugs too. And you can see if there's generic available. There's so many resources out here on wellmark.com to help you be a wiser consumer. We know that when you have unexpected health expenses, you've got a recent diagnosis that you weren't expecting, that it's sometimes difficult, but there really are resources for you to help you navigate through the system. The last thing I want to just mention is Doctor on Demand. It's a virtual visit provider. So it's not telephone. You actually have to be able to see them. You can use your computer, your tablet, or your smartphone. It's $49 on the high deductible health plan, and on the traditional plan there, it's $40, which on the high deductible health plan is much cheaper than actually going into your doctor. It's about half the cost. Typically, it's around $100. This is only $49. You have to go through wellmark.com, and then you can download the app. I know a lot of people are very apprehensive about using this. I love my doctor. I felt like I was cheating on him by using this, but I had, I'll just use an example for myself. I had my eye was getting red one day. I was starting to not feel well. I went home. I thought I'll just put a wet cloth on it. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I had to travel the next day for work, so I was kind of getting really stressed about it. Nothing was working. My eyes were starting to get red. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have pink eye. What's going to happen? I'm starting to, switch around all this stuff. And my coworker's like, just call Doctor on Demand and just see what they, do it. So it took me 15 minutes to download the app, put my information in. 30 minutes later, a doctor called me back. She was like, no, you don't have pink eye. You just need these eye drops. They called the prescription in for you. I went like an hour later. I had 2 sets of eye drops in, and the next morning I woke up and I felt totally fine. I was good to go. It's great if you have a urinary tract infection. If you're traveling, you're in Phoenix, Arizona, and you're with the kids, and your kid's starting to get a cough, and you're like, oh, this is not good. You're up all night. Call Doctor on Demand. They'll be able to call you in a antibiotic and get that going, and that way you're not stressed about going. And it's $49 on the high deductible health plan and $40 on the traditional plan. You really can't go wrong. I just don't want anybody to be scared to use it. They will send you a summary of your visit, so you can share that with your doctor, so you don't have to worry about your medical information, your primary doctor not knowing that you were going to a different doctor. So it's really a good resource. It's, like I said, cold and flu, sore throats, bronchitis. I mean, it's really a really good resource, so don't be afraid to check it out. And I think that's all I have. I think I'm ready for Delta Dental.
Hello, I am Todd Mitchell with Delta Dental of Iowa. Today, I want to cover 4 things. First is network. The other is summary of benefits. There's a great plan enhancement known as To Go, and then also the online resource. The first thing is that your plan has both the PPO and the Premier. A little bit of a misnomer, Premier sounds better, but in this case, Premier is the wider of the networks, but it's the lesser of the discount. So the thing to take away is that the PPO will save you money and it saves the group money. You can find that information through your dentist. You can use our online resource. At the end of the day, the PPO has the deeper discount. Premier, where it is a greater selection of providers, it is somewhat of a lesser discount, but still Delta contracts with 94% of the providers in this state. So you really have to work hard to try to find those 5%. So you're gonna save money by staying in network, even if it's just a Premier provider, but ultimately, to do yourself a favor, try to opt for the PPO. Just a quick kind of summary of the plan. As I mentioned, you have both PPO and Premier. What you'll notice from out-of-network spanning backwards to the PPO, it's kind of a sliding scale. Out-of-network is just out-of-network. It's at 5 to 6% that I referenced. As we get to the Premier, you can see that the deductibles are much lower, much more in your favor. As we go through the co-insurance for each of the respective services, those 2 are lower than the out-of-network. So again, you can see the benefits of staying within the Delta network. And then ultimately, as we look at the third column with the PPO, that's when, if you're seeing a PPO provider, you are gaining the fees that Delta mandates that the providers within this state utilize. One of the really, really nice enhancements to the plan that the college offers is To Go. To Go is separate from many plans, and in fact, I work with about 240 groups throughout the state, and you guys are in the top tier, having this included. What it does, in summary, is it allows you to carry over unused amount of your annual benefit max. So it's a little bit of dental speak, but each year, the plan will pay a total of $1,250 towards the different services. You have to be eligible for a year, and you have to have at least 1 claim during that year period. But any of that $1,250 that has not been exhausted rolls over to the next year. So it increases that annual benefit max. So quick math, although your guys' annual benefit max as a group is $1,250, I'm terrible at math, so this is at 1,000 to make it a little bit easier. As we go through the plan, year 1, the annual max is at 1,000. The benefit used is 200. The unused is 800. So as we roll into year 2, your annual benefit max, or in this case, for the example at 1,000, has now been increased to 1,800, which is fantastic. It doesn't cost you any more. And then subsequently from year 2 to year 3, again, if there's an unused portion, that too rolls over. Where that plays really well for the members is if you know that you're going to have some type of high-cost procedure, implants, crowns, inlays, onlays. You can kind of take it easy for year 1, roll that money over into year 2, and then utilize those funds so that you're really optimizing the plan. 2 little caveats. The To Go feature cannot ever exceed 2 times the annual benefit max. So for this group, that's $2,500, but that's still a fantastic number. And then it does not apply to ortho. I think that's one of the questions we get probably more often than not. I mentioned just kind of the guidelines. You need to be in the plan for a year. You have to submit at least one claim to be eligible for the to-go. So just something as simple as a routine cleaning, which at the PPO level costs you nothing, but then you're eligible for that. So anything that you don't use from that benefit max then will roll over into the subsequent year. And then, as I mentioned, it's capped at the 2. And then Delta really promotes an online resource. I know we heard it from the carriers in front of us. Our Member Connection is a fantastic resource for you guys. You have got a wonderful HR. We have a fantastic customer service. The DIY is the Member Connection. So if you need new cards, if you need an EOB, if you have questions about your provider, and many of you today, although you may love your dentist, if that's possible that people can love their dentist, but want to verify that they are a PPO provider, and rather than the Premier to gain you that additional, all of that information can be found through this Member Connection. And with that, I will turn it over.
What did you do? Oh, that's easy. Okay. Hello, I'm Glenda Teeter. I'm out of Omaha, and I work with VSP. And, well, I should say Vision Service Plan, and we refer to it as VSP. So I know some of you were having questions, and this is a new plan for you. But you may have had a spouse that's had this coverage, or you've had friends that have had this coverage. VSP is very well known across the nation, so I was just going to mention a couple facts before we go into the slides. It was founded in 1955 by a group of optometrists who said, we want to offer affordable health care to individuals and families. So 64 years later, they now have 65 million members nationwide, and they have half of the Fortune 500 companies. So you can see the depth and width of this product that they have and several different plan designs. They are the only national not-for-profit vision care, which is unusual. And they have many doctors. At this point, they have 34,000 doctors across the nation and growing. And 1 in 4 Americans have the coverage. So we'll start covering here. I think some of you may have picked up the plan design outside, or you may already have it, but I wanted to cover the plan design in detail. First of all, there's a well vision exam, and that focuses not only on your eyes, but your overall wellness. And some of you may not be aware, but I find this interesting. It says, why is vision health important? Your eyes not only affect how you see, but how you feel, especially as you age. A routine eye exam can detect diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. So we don't think of those things, but that's part of the routine wellness exam that they give. So in your case, you have a $10 copay every calendar year for the wellness exam. And many of you may say, is my doctor in there? I will advise you several times, but to go to the VSP.com network, and I think it's one of the clearest, most explainable plans out there and networks, and it'll say, do I have a doctor already picked out? Do I not? And it'll ask you for zip code, location, whatever, and then you can see what doctors are in within a given territory. Then you have prescription glasses. Your frame has a $130 allowance for a wide selection of frames and a $25 copay. And this is included in prescription glasses, and that's every other calendar year. So if you have that in front of you, it's on the right side, whether it's every calendar year or every other calendar year. And there's a 20% savings on the amount over your allowance, and $70 Walmart and Costco frame allowance as well. And then you have lens coverage and lens enhancements. And those are included in your prescription glasses every calendar year, and on the enhancements as well, every calendar year. $130 allowance for contacts, up to $60 on a copay, and that's every calendar year as well. And then the last couple sections are primary eye care coverage. So you have tests and monitors, other conditions such as cataracts, glaucoma, and diabetes, and that's a $30 copay. And then a retinal screening, no more than a $39 copay on routine retinal screening as an enhancement to a well vision exam. I get questions on laser vision, and that is not covered under the plan. Sometimes they have a 15% discount, sometimes it's discounted, but it's considered more of a cosmetic health program. So your rates are at the bottom. Some of you were asking about rates earlier. $741 for a member only, so it's a 4-rate structure, as I call it. 11, is that 8636? 1136 for a member, and 1210 for member plus children, and then the 1951 for member and family. So when you think about that, I've always done a breakdown by day. So if you have the member only, it's like 25 cents a day to have your eye coverage. And I think the family coverage was 65 cents a day or something like that. So just consider that when you're deciding to enroll in this plan. And same here, once you enroll, go to the VSP.com and look at all their coverage that's available and all the doctors that are in the plan. And you can also call them. They actually like to be called so they can record that information and use it as training. So be sure and call them, feel free to call them. I've called them several times and they're very good on the phone. No ID card is needed. And this is probably one of the few plans where you don't have to have an ID card because most of the doctors are in the plan, so they know exactly what it is. But you may go and print one off if you feel more comfortable with having an ID card. Participating chains, most of them participate. Costco, Walmart, Pearl, VisionWorks, My Eye Doc, Clarkson. Depending on location, some of these may not fit here in Nebraska or Iowa, but in general, they have most of the major chains within their network. Iconic is their own brand, their own company. So if you want to save money, if you want to look at some of their discounts, if you want to look for eye contacts, go into this plan. So go into VSP, look at iconic.com, and then you can select a product and they will mail it to you. Or it will give you an example of, oh, I can save this much money here, but I'd rather get it at my doctor's office. So it's just another avenue to check pricing. Big value, more savings with VSP Care. They have exclusive member extras, that's also on their network, and special deal on glasses, $20 off on featured frames. So they try to do everything to help you get the best product for the best price. Save up to $50 on non-script sunglasses. So here's the rate, somewhat what I was saying, only I was doing it per day, but this is per pay period. So as an employee, it's $370 per pay period, employee and spouse, $593, employee and children, $605, and family, $975. So great pricing there. And now life and disability.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sam Reimer. I represent Lincoln Financial Group. So I've been in this room a couple of times, but it's usually as a dance dad. They have, I don't know, every single time I've been here, it's been a dance competition. And I've been up there on that third row with about 45 moms, all just screaming for 10-year-old girls. So it is nice to be up on this stage talking about life insurance. Hooray! Life insurance is something that Iowa Western is already, let's see if I can find this. Iowa Western is already covering the cost for your term life insurance, so it's not building cash value. The amount of coverage that you have in force already is going to be 2 times your annual earnings, up to an overall maximum of $300,000. This is something that many times, and as you're reading through that slide, many times you start to look at your, like I've got 4 kids. I'm driving a minivan. It's not cool. But I know that if there's a loss, if I pass away, are my kids' dreams of still going to college covered? Yes. Am I still going to be able to make sure that my wife can stay in the house that she's in? Yes, because I've got coverage through Lincoln Financial Group that is at Iowa Western's level is going to be 2 times your annual salary, up to $300,000. Your spouse is covered for an overall maximum of $2,000. Your children are covered for 14 days to age 19 or all the way up to age 26 if they are a full-time student for $1,000. As you look at this, and again, there's no cash value, this is term life insurance. The term is while you are covered under the Iowa Western plan. This is something that, as you look at this and you start to say, well, I don't have any kids, I'm not married or anything along those lines, but you start to look at other things. What about a legacy gift for church? What about what do I want to happen? Where have I been wanting to not donate, but focus my money after I'm gone? This is a plan to do that. Now, as you look at the cost of the house, if you look at the cost of the cars, as you look at the cost of the kids and the dreams that you have for everybody that you have the responsibility of through your love and support in your family, then you say, maybe that 2 times my annual earnings is not enough, which is where you have the option to purchase an additional level of term life insurance if you want it. If you already have that amount, many of you have already enrolled for this coverage, you have that amount, none of that is changing. You can just roll it over into this year. You do have the option, however, and I would strongly encourage that you do it, to increase your benefit by 2 increments of $10,000. So if you currently have, if you just elected for yourself an additional $50,000 of coverage and you want to increase that coverage to $70,000, you can do that without any evidence of insurability. Let's walk through this. It's $10,000 increments, so you can jump up in 2 increments of $10,000. All the way, there's a $100,000 guarantee issue, but if you already have coverage, or even last year you said, tell you what, Sam, I'm good. I don't need the life insurance. But since then you had the kid. Since then you got married. Since then you took on a little bit more responsibility that you want to make sure that you have protection for. You can jump in at 2 times of that $10,000 increment. So you can jump in at $20,000 without medical underwriting. If you want more than that, that's fine. There's just going to be an online, or we can do a paper too, an online evidence of insurability questionnaire that Lincoln Financial Group is just going to want to know your height, your weight, a couple of medical questions on you. So, but if you don't want to answer those medical questions, if you're like, I just want to bump up, I don't want to fill out any paperwork, then you are guaranteed at least an increase of $20,000. Or if you previously waived coverage and you're at 0 right now and you want to jump in, you can get at $20,000 without any medical underwriting. The life insurance benefit does reduce to 65%. So if you were at 100%, it's going to reduce to 65% at age 70 and 50% at age 75. Spouse coverage, again, the rates are based not upon the age of your spouse, but upon your age. They can elect in $10,000 increments up to 50% of the employee election, $30,000 guarantee issue with the same age benefit reductions as we had up above. And then children as well. So if you want to cover Sam, I've got 9 kids, right? How much is that going to cost? It's one rate, it's one cost for whether you have 1 kid or 20 kids. It's all the 20 kids, you've been busy, good job. But it's just the one cost. No coverage from birth to 14 days, $250 for age 14 to 6 months, but then you can go all the way up to 10 grand from 6 months to age 19 or age 25. It's an important thing. All of this has been Iowa Western's trying to take care of your financial health and try to make medical and dental and vision at the best possible pricing for you. And all of that is great. And then if you're gone and your family is still depending upon you, this is where the additional coverage comes from, right? Let's talk about one other thing that isn't necessarily fun, but it happens. Short-term disability insurance. If you are hurt or if you become sick, where's that paycheck going to come from, right? You have the option. Iowa Western is giving you the option to purchase voluntary, which means you pay for the premium, voluntary short-term disability insurance protection, so that it pays a weekly benefit to you in the event you can't work to a covered illness or injury. So if you're having a baby and you're going to be out for 10 weeks, 12 weeks, or something along those lines, where's that paycheck going to come from? If you're out there shoveling, it's 30 degrees outside and you're shoveling from all the snow that we just got and you threw your back out and you can't work for the next 3 weeks because of that, where's that paycheck coming from? This is a income insurance plan for you that you can jump into. It's going to pay 60% of your employees' basic annual earnings, up to $1,000 a week is what we'll pay. Since you're paying the premium, this is going to be a tax-free benefit. So Uncle Sam isn't going to jump in and get taxes in on this plan, so it's 60% tax-free. Its benefits begin after the 7-day elimination period, so benefits actually start on the 8th day. The maximum benefit duration is going to be for 9 weeks, and after 9 weeks, we move into long-term disability, which I'm going to jump into next. And then your premiums are going to be based upon whatever your salary is, and I think that's going to be set up for you through the portal. Now, this is typically in the type of presentation where you say, Sam, I've got some questions, but I don't want everybody to know my business out there on the table. It's the maroon table. It's the bald guy. We'll be over there to answer your questions if you don't want to ask questions in front of everybody else, and then we can talk about long-term disability insurance. Long-term disability insurance happens after short-term. So if I'm just out because of a broken leg, if I'm out because of some condition that's only had me out for a couple of weeks, that's what short-term disability insurance is for. But let's say you get T-boned by a Sam's Club truck or something along those lines and you can't walk. Let's say you develop cancer and you are going to be out not for weeks, but for a long period of time. You may not ever be able to come back to work. Where's your income going to come from? You've got Social Security from the government, but that's only going to pay a fraction of what you're getting paid now, as well as we're not sure if you're actually going to be awarded those benefits. Iowa Western is covering you for that coverage. They must be disabled. You must be disabled at least 60 days. Notice how the short-term disability covers that gap for the first 60 days. And then it will pay 60% of your monthly income as long as you meet the definition of disability with an overall maximum amount of $7,500. There will be an own occupation period where you are disabled from your own occupation for 24 months. And then after that, it's any occupation that you have education, training, or experience for, all the way to your Social Security normal retirement age. So Iowa Western is providing this coverage. The choice that you have to make is, do you want this coverage on and as you can see up there, do I want the benefit to be taxed or do I want the premium to be taxed? Now, this is an important option for you. If you tax the premium and you get hurt or sick, you are not going to have a taxable benefit. Uncle Sam can only tax you once on this. So if they tax the premium, then they aren't going to be able to tax the full benefit. If they tax the premium is small, very small number, but you are going to get taxed on that. The benefit is actually going to be a much larger amount, and you're not going to get the full 60% if the government is taxing the benefit. So you have to make the choice. Do I want to tax the premium or do I want to tax the benefit? Both options are there for you. You just have to understand if you're taxing the premium, that's going to happen on a monthly basis, and you're not sure if you're going to be disabled. But if you are disabled, you are actually taking home the full 60% benefit instead of the government taking their portion of taxes out of it. If you have questions about that, of course, I'm available after this presentation. We're here all day, and I think that is the end of my slides.
Hello, everybody. My name's Liz Salkin, and I work at Silverstone Group, but I specifically handle the Allstate products that are offered through Iowa Western. These products are the exact same as they have been for the past few years. There's no changes on them, so I'll just run through them pretty quickly, high-level overview. So on both these plans, the benefits are paid directly to you in the event that you do need to file a claim. So that means that the money goes directly into your pocket. You can choose to do what you want with that. You can put it towards savings, you can put it towards medical bills. It's completely up to you. And since premiums are paid on a pre-tax basis, open enrollment is the time to make any changes to your plans, whether that be adding or removing any dependents or changing your coverage level. And coverage does extend to you and any dependents that you choose. And a lot of times people think that they have to be enrolled in the medical coverage in order to qualify for this. That's not true. You don't have to be enrolled in the medical plan through Iowa Western. This is available to anybody. And coverage is portable on these plans as well. So in the event that you were to leave Iowa Western, you can take these with you. All right, so on the accident plan, this covers you for any accidental injury that you may receive on or off the job, and it pays on a per benefit type basis. So it really just depends on what happens within your specific accident as to what benefits you'd be paid out. And the list up here is just a snapshot of what types of benefits are available under the plan. There are more listed out in the brochures, and I have some available out there. Otherwise, they are on HR Connection as well. But a lot of people tend to think this type of plan is for something major, like major car accidents where you're injured, but it's really anything that is classified under that umbrella of accidental injury. So it can be something really small, like you cut your hand and you need to go to urgent care to have it cleaned or get stitches, to something more major like a car accident where you're injured or you break a leg, or your kid tweaks their ankle during sports. It's really anything that qualifies as an accidental injury. And if anybody ever has questions on that, feel free to always reach out and ask. It never hurts to just ask and see whether or not something would be covered. And then the last thing I want to mention about the accident plan is the outpatient physician treatment. This is just a fancy word for office visit. So under this, if you have yourself covered, you can submit 2 of these office visits per year. Yourself, any dependents, it's 4 office visits per year. And these don't have to be accident related. They can be, dental visits, eye doctor, physician visits, really anything that classifies as an office visit. And you receive $50 back per visit that you send in. So if you have, multiple people on your plan, that can be $200 per year. If you just have yourself on the plan, it's $100 back per year. So this is a really great way to recover some of those premium expenses that you pay throughout the year. So just keep this in mind as well when taking a look at the coverage, or if you're already enrolled, keep that in mind. You can go back as far as your policy's been in place to file for these. So if you have any questions on those, just let me know. I'm happy to help. And then on the critical illness plan, this covers you for a list of major illnesses like heart attack, stroke, organ failure, things like that. In the event that you were diagnosed with one of these covered illnesses, you'd receive a flat payout, and spouse and kids receive 50% of that full payout amount. And there are 2 different plan options under the critical illness plan. There's a low and a high option. The low option does not cover a cancer diagnosis, whereas the high option does cover a cancer diagnosis. And under here, there is a wellness benefit. So with this, Allstate covers a list of preventative tests. If you have had one of those tests done throughout the year, you can submit 1 wellness test per year per person on the plan and get $50 back. So again, it's very similar. Also, it's just saying if you're going and getting these tests done, trying to stay healthy and on top of things, they're going to give you $50 back. So this is another great way to recover some of those premiums that you spend throughout the year. So again, please keep this in mind when looking at the coverage, and keep this in mind if you are enrolled and you don't know whether or not you've been utilizing this, because like I said, you can go as far back as your policy's been in place to qualify for these. So just let me know if you have questions on any of that. Otherwise, my information is up here as well as my coworker Tanya. So if you do have questions at a later date, please feel free to reach out to either one of us and we're happy to help.
All right. So we've had a lot of information today, and I know we're going a little over on time, so I'm going to try to wrap this up as quickly as I can so then we can take your questions. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was Health Advocate. Health Advocate is a concierge service that's available to you. This was put into place last year, and basically Health Advocate can help you with a number of things. So they can help you with more about a diagnosis and treatment. You can get answers to questions about medical conditions. Let's say you're having a problem with maybe a claim getting paid. They have all your carrier information, so they are there to help you, kind of an extension of the HR department. So maybe instead of going to HR, call Health Advocate, and they can probably help you get your problem resolved. So we have the concierge service available through Health Advocate, and then we also have an employee assistance program available as well. So the employee assistance program can help you with a number of things, maybe depression, anxiety, stress, maybe you're going through a divorce, substance abuse. Sometimes, teenagers give us problems. So those sort of things, they're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can speak to a licensed professional counselor. So this does no cost to you. So rather than maybe going through Wellmark and going to see a licensed professional, this could save you a little bit of money by utilizing maybe this first to see if that can help you, and then maybe move on to something else. So how to reach Health Advocate, there's a toll-free number, an email, and a website. And this is posted out on HR Connection as well. So finally, HR Connection. As I mentioned in the beginning, everyone must log in to HR Connection to do your enrollment for this year. Even if you're keeping everything the same, even if you're waiving coverage, you still need to go through and make your elections. So what happens? You will receive an email from HR Connection, which you probably did this morning. If you do not get an email, please reach out to Human Resources to see why. Once you get the email, follow the instructions and begin your enrollment. It is really simple. And then you have until 11:59 p.m. on the 20th, that's when open enrollment ends, to make those elections. I also wanted to mention we did put together a benefit guide, and I think Robin's going to send this out. And it'll also be on HR Connection. So it's a real handy guide that basically goes through everything that we talked about today, all your benefits. And what this slide shows you is kind of a sample of that email that you're going to get from HR Connection. So at this time, we're going to end the presentation, and then I'll invite all of our speakers up here on the stage, and we will take your questions. Thank you, everyone. And again, we'll be out in the main area out here for questions. If you don't want to ask in front of a group, you want a one-on-one, maybe personal information or something like that, we're here all day to help you with that as well. So thank you for your attention today. You're free to leave if you do not have any questions, but if you do, we will be more than happy to address those now. Thank you.